Hello, everyone. I'm Dennis.
I'm Andrew.
We are known as the Crafty Lumberjacks. We're coming to you live from Astoria, Queens, New York. Thank you for joining today. I hope everybody's having a great summer.
Yes, we are very excited for this project. This is one of our favorite projects. It is a vintage style wilderness banner. As you can see, we popped it in a frame, but you could really make this project in so many different ways. That's what we love about it. You can take the DIY portion of this and create however you want. You can create something like this. You can create something for the holidays. You could create something for a bedroom. You could make it bigger, smaller. It's one of those, DIYs. It really is so versatile.
Yes, and what we love about this project too is it's kind of old school in the sense where we're not using any type of cutting machine or any type of modern crafting technology. We're going old school. We're using scissors and an old technique here with freezer paper to show you how to cut the felt really easily and simply. And I guess we should dive in. We're also going to be doing a giveaway today at the end of the class.
Yes, like we always do. So stick around because this is only for you who are watching live right now.
Yes, and just a little plug. Thank you, of course, for Fiskars for having us and Michael's for having us, and also a plug for our class next month. We do these classes every month. Next month, we're going to be making these beautiful paper, sunflowers. I didn't glue in the center there. It's a little pom-pom.
This is great.
So
this is
cute.
Going to be really easy to make. All you need for this are a pair of scissors, and it's super fun. We love this. We made these paper hyacinthia
Yes.
a few months ago, and everybody loved them so much. We wanted to add almost like an early fall feel to these. Love these, love these, love these. Okay, should we get started?
I think we should. We also have our little crafty helper here today, Teddy,
That's
who's
our cat.
sitting on all our materials.
Of course.
But now we're going to start with our felt banner here. Really easy to make. We're going to start by creating a template using freezer paper. Freezer paper is an old school technique. Which is great about freezer paper is that it has the ability to, it has a built-in adhesive almost.
There it is. It has a waxy finish on one side, so you can iron it on. Now, if you do not have freezer paper, you can still make the template out of regular paper. You could even do it out of parchment paper, anything you have at home. But we just think the effect that you can iron on your freezer paper to your material really helps you get like the cleanest template possible.
Yeah, so we can switch cameras, Felicia. Thank you for that awesome intro too.
I know, yes. And of course, if you have any questions, Felicia's here. And we also have Tiffany, just like Felicia said. There is Teddy, our little craft assistant who just loves to sit on everything. Thank you, Teddy. You're so helpful. So when you get a frame, you usually have like a mat, meaning the border that you can, you can pop your frame into. We're going to be using this to trace our backing to the perfect size so it fits right in the frame. Now, if you want to hang up your banner, if you want to use dowels to hang it up, you don't need to do this step, but you do want to cut your template to the size of
the frame.
Yeah, or the size that you want it to be. We'll see how long Teddy stays here before I have to kind of.
Did you prefer on one side over the other, or no? Just go for it. What?
You mean like? Well, I guess I should say like you want to be working on. There's a waxy side finish and a matte side of the freezer paper. You want to be working on the matte side. That's going to be easier to draw, and that's going to be the front, the quote unquote front of the template.
So like Andrew said, I'm just tracing out the little mat that comes in the frame here. And we're going to be using our Fiskars scissors. This is a new line of Fiskars scissors. They come out every year. This is the Wanderlust, and this is actually going to be included in our giveaway today. It's a little green and sparkly.
I love
so
these
pretty
scissors. I love that Fiskars comes out with different styles of scissors, because if you are a crafter like we are and you like to have really cute, craft supplies that actually really work, these are them. I also think if you like to make crafty videos, they are great to incorporate in your crafty videos. I mean, I think these scissors are perfect all year round, but I'm also really excited for them around the holidays, just because, I mean, green and sparkly color.
No, these scissors are so sharp, I barely even have to cut here. And a tip that I like to use whenever I'm cutting, trying to cut a straight line, is I keep my bottom portion of the scissors and actually this is one of our cutting mats, which we're also giving away. And we love this cutting mat because it folds. And we live in a 1-bedroom apartment, so anytime that we can fold things and hide them behind a couch or the bed or a toy chest or whatever, even better. But so I like to keep my blade flat here, the bottom blade, and just use it as a guide as I try to cut a straight line. You could of course use a ruler here or the rotary tool.
But I love that tip. And I think another good tip is to take your time when you're cutting straight lines. You don't need to rush it. Like Dennis said before, this is a classic craft, meaning there's no technology involved, which is really nice. I mean, we love our tech when it comes to crafting, but sometimes there's something to be said about not having the hassle of any hiccups that tech also brings. And when I think of like camp, I think of camp crafts.
Yes, working with your hands.
Yeah, working with your hands. So I love that.
I used to go to the YMCA.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I was like a shy kid, so I would always hang out with the camp counselors, and I would want to try to be like an educator when I was younger because I didn't get along with a lot of the kids that were my age. So I'd always be around them, and they were like, "Get this kid away from me."
Oh, come on, I doubt that. But I get that too. I was always hanging around the counselors.
But we did all types of projects. We even did like horseback riding, swimming, crafting on rainy days.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to move Teddy. Come here, Teddy. Come here, baby. Okay.
All right, he's out. He's out. He's done.
He's out. Okay, so before I move on, I wanted to kind of just show our final project, just so you can kind of see, again, what I did when I thought of like a landscape and I tried to think of different elements. I wanted something that was water. I wanted some trees, mountains, and then I thought of like a sunset. I really liked the sunset idea because it gives you like a chance to add different colors to the skyline. Now you can choose any elements you want, but I will say when you're doing it, try to think really simple representations of what they are. I think the simpler, the easier it is to cut. And it also gives this like vintage patch look. So for the water, it was like waves. For the trees, like little pointy bits, and the mountains like bigger triangles. But you really could go any way with this. You do not need to copy what we have done. I mean, you're more than welcome to, but you could really add any elements you want. If you can think of an element that I did not incorporate here, please let us know in the chat. I love to hear new ideas. But before I even trace it out, I picked all the colors I want. Something I love about Michaels is their felt section. They have so many different colors. If you don't know what you want to be doing yet, that's okay. I would just pick a handful of colors that go together. I was in the aisle when I was doing this, and I had this nice conversation with this woman who was making this dollhouse, and she's like, "Why do you need all this felt?" And I was explaining it to her, and she was like, "I love to just grab felt every once in a while and just have it on hand." And it's kind of what I like to do too.
And I was waiting in the car, and Andrew was like, "Sorry, I was talking to this lady for like 20 minutes." And I was like, "Yeah, I know."
So when the first thing is going to be the backdrop. So it's the bigger piece of felt. I think this is like a 12 by 18 piece of felt. I could be wrong, something like that. And this is going to be the backdrop. We're not going to touch this felt just yet, but I wanted to show you, this is it almost acts as an outline to your masterpiece, I'm going to call it. So you can see it kind of peek through. So you either want to think if you want something like a big pop of color or something like a little more subdued. I picked this nice blue. It's a little different from the final project, but I think it's going to be really cute. But that's going to kind of tie in the whole thing together. But now I'm done talking, everybody. Okay, I'm going to start doing. Dennis,
do people have? Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Do people have summer plans? Have you already went on your summer vacations? Do you have things coming up? We have nothing. But we always get ourselves into trouble and find things to do around the city or outside of the city. We were just on Long Island for a few days. We're also going to DC next week to see family. So yeah, we make it work. We make it work.
All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the bottom up. That's just how I like to work. Of course, you can work however you want. And I'm going to be using, I'm going to start with the water, like I said, so a squiggly line. I really don't need to be too precious about this, but you can take your time if you want. Just like that. And then I'm going to move on to my trees. Now, you might be wondering, why do I need to do a template? Well, you're going to get a better result, a more crisp result, if you use a template instead of just trying to cut out each piece of felt. Because what's really cute about this project is everything kind of interlocks with each other. So you're going to kind of see how that works as we go. So the next thing I'm going to do are the trees. And I just really thought like pointy trees for this. Let me see. Do I want to use, I'm going to use a ruler for this. I'm going to use this one.
I love this too, because once you kind of make this, you could actually even add this to like a tote bag.
Oh yeah.
Besides just artwork or a backpack or something like that. Or you can even, I see like a lot of the kids these days, they're upcycling their own fashion and making their own clothing. Like this would look so cute on the back of like a little jean jacket or something like that.
Oh my gosh, that would be cute. Yeah, you can make it kind of smaller if you wanted to.
And you wear it to the Taylor Swift concert,
Oh.
you know? Carla said they have a lot of art classes scheduled, the best.
Oh, I
always feel like, I always tend to think that like crafting is popping during the holidays, but I do feel like that there's another time to craft, and it's the summer.
That's true. And I actually think it's a great time to craft for the holidays in the summer.
To get a head start?
Yeah, because a lot of times we all want to, I'm making these a little big. I'm gonna kind of scale down. I think a lot of times we have all these ambitions during the holidays to craft for the holidays. And then, you know, time just slips away. All of a sudden it's the end of November and then it's, you know, January, and where did the time go? All right, so here are my trees. Let me see, I'm gonna do it.
Yes, MJ Squire, I said, such a fun idea to recreate the old time pendants brought home as souvenirs from summertime vacations. Yes. Actually, we were just cleaning out our house on Long Island, and I have like all of these pennants from Disney, but they're like so vintage, and they are actually felt, and then they have like ink on them, patterns. But they're so cool.
I know, those are very cute. All right, so here are my trees. Now, if you mess up, you could easily just erase. I'm not worried about extra lines and stuff like that. You can just erase and you can keep on going. And you know, you could even do this freehand. You do not need to use a ruler for this. And then I'm going to work on the mountains. So the mountains are similar to the trees. They're just a little wider. So too big.
I'm trying to remember if we've been to any mountains. All I'm thinking of, though, we did go to Alaska once, and we went to a glacier.
We did. I mean, those were
that's kind of like, yeah, that was in the mountains on a glacier.
Alana Glacier.
Alana Glacier. Hi from Connecticut. Hello, Luke.
All right. There we go. So we have our water, our trees, and our mountains all done. And now I'm going to work on the sunset first. I have 3 different colors for the sunset. So I'm actually going to first add those in before I add in the sun itself. So I just want to line it up. And the great thing about this mat right here is it has a grid. So if you want a really nice straight line, you can follow the grid. I'm just lining up my freezer paper to the grid first, and then I am lining up my ruler to the line. Can you see that?
Yes, I think we're spotlighted.
Oh, but Felicia, will you put the phone back on for us? Thank you. Okay, let's see. So I want this lined up right here. So as you can see, I'm using the grid to my advantage. Let's see. Does that look like a good spot? I think it does.
And Felicia has been posting some reminders here, but for anyone that's new to these classes, they always post these live recordings on their YouTube channel, on Michael's YouTube channel, in about 24 to 48 hours. And it's not only our classes that are on there, but it's everybody's classes that they have whenever they do a virtual online class. So it's really a great resource for inspiration or for to learn a new skill.
I love that too, because if you miss a class, like sometimes I'll be scrolling to see what other classes they have, and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then I'm busy, but then we can go back. It's really nice.
And then also we share links to a lot of the products that we use and also the step outs for the tutorials on our own blog, craftylumberjacks.com, where you can find all the information and the breakdown of each project.
Yes. All right, so then I'm going to add my son. You know, I'm really not happy with these placements. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm just going to quickly.
Saw this coming.
Dennis let out a big sigh.
I saw this coming. I'm like, oh, I'm watching those trees.
I know.
That's all right.
Okay, I'm just going to line this up and I'm going to use the grid to my advantage. Here we go. It just needs to be a little higher. That's the great thing about freezer paper too. If you were just doing this right on the felt, if you've ever drawn on felt before, it's a real pain in the butt. So this is a nice way through mistakes first. There we go. Okay, I'm much happy about that. Now I'm using a terracotta top, like this is like a bottom of a pot that we found at Michael's, as our sun. I'm going to just turn it right upside down, and I'm going to put it in between two of the sunsets. You can do it however you want. That's just how I think it looks cute. And I'm just going to draw the circle. There we go. I think that looks pretty
very
good.
Cute. Very cute.
Okay, so the next step.
Take me to Woodstock, man.
Before we move on, the next step, we are going to write out each color onto our pieces.
Yeah,
now,
go ahead.
No, you can go.
No, I was going to say, just so we don't get confused, because now we're going to cut all of these individual pieces. So sometimes you get confused. You're like, hey, what is this? What color is this supposed to be? So it just kind of helps and gives you a little reminder to say, oh, okay, this is going to be the blue for the water.
Exactly. So I'm going to label each one. You might think this is like an extra step you don't need, but I did find it a little confusing when I did it. So blue, green, gray, orange.
And of course you can do this, your own style, your own colors, whatever this is what we found and just what we're using.
Absolutely. Pink, red, and then yellow for the sun. That is just a good tip. I really do think it helps. So now we're going to cut out each piece. Do you want to be doing that, Dennis?
Sure.
Okay.
Now I'm just going to do my best here. Another tip that we like to always say whenever we're cutting different shapes is to kind of move the paper. Don't try to move your hands or the scissors.
Yeah, if you're going to cut a rounded edge, it's much easier to move the material than it is to than it is to move the scissors itself. It just creates a better rounded edge, a more even rounded edge. But you really also don't need to be too worried about how perfectly cut these are. I really don't think it reads as much as you may think. When I look at like the final product, there are certain things I'm like, oh, I don't like how that cut, like this line right here. But when you see it all together, you really don't notice that.
The only thing is as you cut, you really want to try to keep each piece intact here. You don't want to cut too low or kind of cut through the mountains here. You want to try to keep it as, Yeah,
because you are.
Am I contradicting what you just said?
No,
or okay.
No.
Oh gosh, here I'm gonna.
But I think if you do have to cut like a little further, like with these triangles, just so you can get the scissors around, I think it's a-okay. Turning the angle of the whole freezer paper is also a great way to cut these sharp edges.
Oh, and I love that we're using the Wanderlust scissors, because I feel like this banner is so much about like travel and coming back to nature. And actually this whole new line of scissors that they have is all about that. It's all about just nature and travel and getting out and loving on the planet that we have.
I think
Gosh, I really can't. I know I really can't get in there with my chubby little hands. This, I feel like we're Halloween crafting, and this is like teeth.
Yes. Has anyone started Halloween crafting? I feel like we keep seeing everybody crafting for Halloween.
Oh my gosh, I'm so behind. Oh my
time.
But also I'm like, whatever. Sorry, I missed that.
That's okay.
That's going to be my New Year's resolution next year. Just like do things on my own time and don't stress about other people.
Lena says, no, I haven't. Halloween crafts are too soon. I feel yeah. But I'm also kind of excited. Sometimes I do like looking ahead and feeling like, okay, and kind of how we were saying summertime is a great time to decorate for the, or not decorate for the holidays, excuse me, craft for the holidays. It is a good time to kind of like get a sense of, yeah, and kind of like think about what you want to be doing. Now, I will say the trees are the hardest part just because there are.
I was gonna say, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, you know.
Jeez, I feel like I'm at the dentist here. Definitely working up a sweat. This is my workout for the day.
Oh, that's great.
All right.
I do feel like felt banners were such a thing. Like we used to make them as kids so often. I actually found like one that you made in the closet at the house.
Yeah,
right?
that was for confirmation.
Confirmation, yeah. But I felt like those were like such a thing.
I wonder why we all had to do that.
I don't know. I think felt is one of those great materials that if you're not a sewer, but you want to work with a type of fabric, it's such an accessible, inexpensive material. I know I love it. I also feel like felt really adds this texture to this. You could easily make this project with paper.
Okay,
Easily.
now we're getting to the circle here. Any tips or just cut it?
I think just go for it.
Well, because so am I cutting around like that?
Yep, yeah, so you would start here and then cut around.
Okay. I'm kind of at the 3-week marking in my life where if I did something or it didn't happen within 3 weeks, I don't know what happened. So that goes for like binge watching or hanging out. I'm like, wait, what? Or how did I do this craft? I'm like, wait, I don't remember this. This wasn't within 3 weeks. Does anybody else feel that? Even especially like binge watching, I feel like now we watch so much that I can't even keep track. So if it's past 3 weeks, I'm like, I know I watched it, but I do not know what happened.
I do not know what happened. Someone asked if this can be washed. You know, I think this probably could be hand washed if need be. I would wash it probably in cold water by hand and let it air dry. I don't think you should have a problem. If you're going to do that, I would just check the glue you're using. Today, we're going to be using this felt and foam glue. I am not 100% sure if it's washable.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
But you could maybe use a glue gun if you really, if it was something that you wanted to wash. I guess you're probably thinking about if you're going to use it as a patch or something like that, I'm assuming. If that's the case and you really want it washable, I would say sew it. What do you think, Dennis?
Yes. I actually don't know, like felt. That's a good question. Like, can you wash felt?
Well, it's already felted, so maybe. That is great.
Spot clean with a rag. Yes, love that. We actually just got you know, not that what is that pen? The Tide pen to go.
Yeah.
But we found they have them as sheets.
Oh yeah, like little sheets.
And that was very exciting for us.
All right, so great job with the
yes,
cutting.
and cold water by hand, Tiffany said.
So the only other thing we're going to do with this is we're going to cut the circle out smaller. This doesn't really make a lot of sense right now, but to get the underlying blue piece to look like an outline, we need to space everything out, and everything else can be equally spaced just fine, but the sun does not do that because we're not spacing it out. We want it to be smaller than these two little ridges right here. So we're just going to cut them out, or I'm sorry, we're just going to cut the circle out a little bit smaller. I would say about 1/4 of an inch smaller. So again, if you're cutting around an edge
or something, or
no.
Okay.
If you're cutting around an edge, I would turn the circle itself.
Oh, Tiffany gave another heads up. If you wash your felt, she said the color bleeds very easily.
Oh,
So you're going to want to think about that.
That's a good thing I would never have thought about. Thank you, Tiffany. Okay. And then I'm just going to see it's smaller than that. Okay, I think that's a great start. Okay, so our next step is going to be to iron each of these pieces onto the pieces of felt. So we're going to be using just a craft iron for this. You can do it on low heat. And you just don't want any moisture. What is that like? You know, you don't want to put any water in there. So we're going to start with our, you know, we can actually do this right onto this piece of felt just so it doesn't, you know what I'm saying?
No, don't.
We're going to use the we're going to use the backing of the felt almost as like a little ironing mat.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to start with our blue. This is where it really helps to have them labeled so there's no confusion. And now, so there is a waxy finish. Now, you don't need to iron this too well to your felt because we're going to be peeling it off. I think a great tip is to press it lightly just so there's no waxy residue left. Now, if your felt collects any waxy residue, I'm going to keep saying that, waxy residue. If your felt collects any waxy residue, I think a good tip would be just to flip everything over so you're really using the back. Yes, that will flip your image. It'll reverse the image, but you won't have any waxy residue.
And another tip I'm going to give is we like to save. Yes, I know. I'm coming for your gig. You know, we like to save our felt, so I'm going to kind of do each piece to the edge, to the bottom here.
I love that.
And then do you think we do one edge? Because you were
Sure.
saying we cut it with the thing later, right?
Yeah, I think you can do it with an edge. Now, this is a project I do think is great to use up those extra pieces of felt for sure.
And just a little tap on the wax paper will keep your template secure here.
Iron with the textured side down, correct? Yes. So it's going to be that waxy side down. It really almost feels like a wax paper. Yep, and that's what's going to adhere to your felt. I don't think you even need to do it on the back. Right?
No, I know. I was just looking.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get a perfect edge.
That's
I
okay.
think it's okay.
That's
so we have it, and it's pretty stuck. It's pretty stuck. It looks pretty good there. And again, this is all just to help you, you know, use as a guide for when we're actually cutting out the pieces. So we get a nice clean cut. And actually, we also use the freezer paper for stenciling. We'll cut out a stencil from our cutting machine there and kind of do the same technique where we kind of iron it down.
I know stencil, I feel like freezer paper is such a great stencil. It comes in handy in so many ways. We always have a roll and we never use it for any actual like food related purposes. What is a little iron called again? This is like the Cricut iron you can get at Michael's, the mini heat press. Oh, and you want to just this?
Yeah. Very cute. Very cute. Okay, we're up to our mountains here. Gonna build a mountain from a little hill. Anybody know that song?
Did you sing that around the campfire?
Yeah, that's a camp song. No, it's not a camp song at all. Do you know that song?
No.
Let's see if anybody knows it. No, of course there's Kumbaya, my Lord.
I did sing that at camp, yes.
Everybody did.
Harry Belafonte?
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's not.
I don't even know what the song is from.
All right.
Can we use a regular iron? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can.
I do this one like this.
Yeah.
Lining it up on the bottom, like Dennis said. Yes, you can absolutely use a regular iron for
Low heat.
sure.
Low heat.
Low heat, no moisture.
It's what's it called? From like Stop the World, I Want to Get Off. Jacques Barrel.
Huh. I really do love this. I feel like these types of crafts we always talk about are just so great to, you know, this would be a really great craft if you like to lead craft, you know, nights with your friends, stuff like that. And you could really just lead this whole craft. I feel like it's,
excuse me,
pretty easy to do, and everyone can kind of do their own thing. Or if you're crafting by yourself, which I think is so, it's a really nice, you know, I always feel like a little more mindful when I'm crafting alone with some music, really just, I don't know.
Getting in the zone,
Getting in the zone and forgetting everything about real life. It's kind of nice,
the
right?
best. We actually used to teach group craft classes in the city, in Manhattan there, at very wealthy buildings with a lot of rich people. And they would always be like, what is that? And it's like, it's a crayon.
But you know, it was definitely a group of people who didn't craft regularly.
Right.
But they all found it so
yeah, they had a great time.
Really,
I mean, because they also had free wine. So
yeah, but it's like you, even if you think you're not a crafter and you have craft supplies in front of you, it's a nice I feel like most people just kind of get into it, you know?
Or the one, Andrew has a story about a celebrity
Oh.
and they didn't know what a type of candy was and they were eating it and they were like, oh my gosh, what is this? Yes. And Andrew was like,
M&Ms? It was
an
M&Ms.
M&M? You've never had an M&M?
I love that. They were actually very, very nice. All right, now that we have all our pieces cut out, or not cut out, ironed on, we're gonna cut them out. I'm gonna do this part, is that okay?
Please.
So I guess I'll just go back in the order. And what I love about Fiskars scissors is, of course, they sell fabric scissors, which are fabulous, but their scissors work on so many different materials. This cuts so well, like Dennis says, like Dennis said before, like they are just so sharp. So these cut through the felt so easily. I'm just going right along the edge of the template. Oops, I just cut on the template, which is 100% fine. And I'm just trying to take my time as I go. Let's see. Should I
Very nice. Yes.
So you can pull off your template.
There we go. And look how clean that is.
If you want, you can save the template. You could reapply it because we didn't fully iron it on. You could absolutely reapply it, or you can just throw it away. Now, I do have like some pieces that I'm not really thrilled with. I'm going to show you how to fix that. All you have to do is take and almost like shave it off. You don't want to go too close. You just want to kind of
give it a little haircut.
Give it a little haircut. You know, and if you have like a little edge right here, like I don't like, just give it a slight haircut and it really creates such a nice edge. Okay. The trees, I'm going to go for the trees. This one's probably the hardest.
Oh gosh, good luck.
Oh, can you re-iron this? It looks like it kind of popped off. Especially those corners. Like up here. That's really what we need. Okay. And another tip is if you are cutting a big, like a small piece out of a big piece, cut that down. Cut it down, and then it's easier to work with. It's harder when you have like this big excess piece. It's easier when it's smaller. Now, this is the part where I really want to be mindful of not cutting too far.
You could also use the rotary cutter for this too, with the ruler and the rotary and the cutting mat, of course.
That's true. I'm going in just to get that little piece out, and I'm going to pull it. Oh, remember, it's about like switching angles to make it easier for you to cut. I think it really just depends on the angle that you go at. If an angle is feeling weird, flip over the whole piece of felt and go from it from a different spot. You might find it that it's a lot easier.
What colors are we using?
This is like an olive green. They have so many different shades of green at Michael's. I love this olive green. It really, to me, like this with the maroon and this gold, really just like give it this vintage retro vibe. But they have like a bright Kelly green, which is really pretty. They have almost like a lighter green, which I think would have worked really well too.
How about seafoam green?
Seafoam green would be so cute. They actually had that and I thought of it. For the water specifically, I thought would have been cute. Okay, now I'm going to do my curved spot where I'm, again, moving the material more than my scissors.
Sorry, Tiffany, I just saw your comment. No one knows it.
No one knows
the song.
Oh, yeah, no one knows that.
No one knows what that is.
Okay, now let's peel this away.
I do. Carla knows it. Thank you, Carla.
Look how cute that looks.
That looks so cute.
Now, again, of course, you could just draw on the felt, but what I love about this technique too is it doesn't leave any marker edges.
Right, like if you're using a Sharpie or something like
yeah,
that.
which I just think is like so nice. Okay, let me make sure I do.
How about light green?
Light green would be so cute too.
You really can't go wrong with any color, I feel, for this project.
For real, yes. Okay, the mountains. Oops. Okay, so again, I think we just need to apply this there.
Oh, sorry, I turned it off.
That's okay. I think it's still like hot enough.
Andrew made me paranoid because he was like, don't iron it too much.
It's true, you don't want to iron it too
I know,
much.
but I got nervous.
So you should be.
How about dark green?
Did you ever go to like sleepaway camp?
No.
I went like once.
Oh gosh.
Not long enough. I feel like it was something
scary?
No, I loved it. I loved it. And I felt like I was almost like robbed from not going more in my childhood. I always wanted that experience. And you always see it in movies and stuff like that. And I thought it was
right. And you know what happens?
What?
People lose their lives.
Oh.
It's the perfect setting for a horror film.
Yes, that's true.
So no,
but it's also the perfect
interest
setting
in
for a coming of age story.
Nah,
you know?
bro. Medium green.
Medium. Oh my gosh. We love green. We love
It's all about the green.
Another song no one's gonna know.
I know. All my weird musical theater references. I'm just gonna get the charter for them.
Okay. Now, I'm kind of looking at this mountain, and I did actually think of adding like snow caps to it at the end and stuff like that. You could absolutely embellish it more and more, which I think is another fun part of this. You could keep layering on to your landscape as much as you want. You could add little birds, you could add like little sewing embellishments. We kind of thought about making this at night like not making it at night, excuse me, but making the scene to be nighttime and adding little stars, which I thought would have been so cute. Maybe
I
a
actually
moon.
just thought, like when you said that, this would be perfect to kind of add on little like embellishments with the needle and thread.
Yes.
Like little details, like a snowy mountain cap with like
Mhm.
yarn and
Or even just more felt.
yeah, you're right.
I also think this would be so cute to cover a cork board with. I just had that idea. You know, like put this on a cork board, and then you could like put like cute pins on it or put like cute notes. Like, wouldn't it create like a cute backing
Yes.
for a cork
And
board?
then you put magnets on the cork board and it goes on your fridge.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes.
Just keep adding to it, right? There we go.
Very
Now for
cute.
the reveal.
Very cute. Wow.
Looks pretty good. I need to clean this up where it's
What did you see Teddy's in the
Aww.
box?
Okay, now is our pink. See him coming. Our cat's coming
Okay,
up.
he's coming.
Can you move the yellow
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah,
put
yeah.
that other one there? Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes you got to do a.
You got to lay something out for the animals, you know, so they lay on that instead of what you're actually working on. Okay, so those were the different greens I was going to use.
Oh.
See, this is a nice green. Does anyone else stick their tongue out when they're cutting? I just found myself doing that. I feel like
Yes, it's always like the weirdest faces.
Yes, because it helps you cut, you know? That's
Yeah, it helps you concentrate and focus.
I was kind of rushing, so it's not perfect, but that's okay. I'm going to leave that on just in case. I want to check it with my son after. Oh, I forgot this. Yes.
And are we missing? Okay. See, this is how once you kind of start cutting away and, you know, it kind of gets a little chaotic and
I know. So
messy. So it's always good to have things labeled and.
again, I'm switching the angle of the felt to cut. Yeah. Okay, I really want this to be a nice circle.
So I'm seeing like as you're working with the freezer paper there, it kind of comes off just because you're like
touching it.
yeah, touching and manipulating it and kind of shifting. So what you're just doing your best to line it up. And
I am.
yeah, that's okay. Stretching
I'm
out.
stretching it. Oh gosh, oh gosh.
Take your time.
I know, but is this like watching paint dry? Come on.
I mean, it's a crucial step here. Here we have Teddy back now. Wait, we're gonna need this, baby. There you go. I actually used to teach theater camp back in the day. I would direct like 50 to 60 kids in musicals like Grease and Fiddler on the Roof and you know, all those type of shows. That was super fun. And you know, sometimes, you know, basically you're playing a babysitter, so the parents should drop off their kids from 10 to 3, and you're kind of like, sometimes you're like, what do we do with these kids all day? So that would be a phrase that we would say all the time when they had lunch and stuff. We're like, take your time, you don't want to rush your lunch. Okay. And then we're like, what are we doing this afternoon? Theater games? Oh gosh.
I did love a theater camp.
Yes, Felicia just said, anytime you share a project, either whether it be ours or anyone else's, use the hashtag Make It With Michael. This way we can all see and they all kind of get labeled into one group. So you can look up the hashtag, and we'll do this sometimes whenever we're looking for inspiration or feeling bored or want to see what other people are making. We'll just search the hashtag, and everything falls under that. There's also the hashtag Learn with Michaels, and then they also have Michael's classes. And of course, we also ask you to tag Fiskars and use a hashtag for them too, because we want to see, especially if you make one of our projects.
Absolutely. So I'm just cutting down the sun just a little bit more. I will say, I feel like when you're crafting not on camera, it always comes out a little better. Is that just true?
Well, of course, because the pressure's on, man.
And usually the air conditioner's on.
That's true. That's true.
We're sweating up a storm right here. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm not thrilled about the lineage of this, but I think it's going to be just okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
If anything, I'll just say our niece made it. Her 9-year-old niece. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so we have all our pieces cut out. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out, we're going to cut this out, the bottom piece.
Sure.
So I'm going to remove all our top pieces, and we're going to use the rotary cutter for this, and we're going to use our mat again, just our backing, and we're going to
yes, and this is part of the giveaway as well. We're giving away a cutting mat today, and actually the Lilac rotary cutter, which is super great. They have a really fun safety feature here.
I love the
really
handle on
easy to
that.
use, easy to grip, and I mean, hello, the color
Is beautiful.
is fabulous.
And of course, they have the matching lilac scissors as well.
And the foldable ones, I believe, are the lilac
yes.
ones as well.
Which are just so cute.
So I'm just going to line up the back here and then kind of do
So
this.
this is for today. Yes, yes, yes. And we're going to go over the giveaway before we leave the class today, so don't worry. And everything is picked at random.
Really easy. I barely applied any pressure for that. Came right off. This one up here. Teddy's got his big booty over there.
Teddy's big booty. Acrylic ruler.
And I do want to say, just as you cut, it's always important to put even pressure on your ruler here, because sometimes it will slip, just kind of that's how it is. So you just always want to make sure you're applying even pressure throughout the ruler, just so you get a nice, even, straight cut and nothing slips or slides while you're cutting or working.
I love that. I also love the mat because it's not like a non like stick mat, but it's also not like slippery.
Right.
So it kind of
well, it
helps
has like a little
bit.
grip on it.
No, I just mean like the top of it. Like,
right,
but it
right.
does help hold things down. So yes, adding that pressure is really important. Okay, so our next step is going to be starting to lay everything out, and then we're going to glue, and then we're basically done. Now I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'm going to go to the top. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to cut. Oops. Timber. Sorry, everybody. I forgot to cut this top one. Will you cut that for me?
Sure, sure, sure.
So I'm going to start from the bottom, and I'm going to go up. Now, here's how you get that cute little line effect where it looks like a drawn line where you're going to see the bottom end. Instead of putting the pieces directly against each other, you're going to leave just about 1/4 of an inch of space. You see, which gives you like that nice outlined detail, and you're going to continue going up. And as you can see, this is why the template is so important, is because everything fits in just like a puzzle piece. You just want to kind of line it. As you go, you can do them as big or as small as you want. Pretty good. I just love when a project like suddenly just all comes together, you know?
And then of course, I think this was the only one we could find, but of course, if you use a different color felt, you're really going to get a nice pop there. So you can even do like a purple or a really bright color. We went with the blue because I think we were limited with our options, but
yeah, I actually really like the blue a lot. I think like it works with what we're making for sure.
Look at this little baby. So cute. Our little helper. He always has to help or judge, basically. Judge what we're doing.
And then we have our last piece right here. Now you're going to see there is an overhang because we added that extra stuff. So you can either cut from the bottom or you can cut from the top. That's up to you. Or you can actually even just cut off a little bit of this, which is what I think I'm going to do, just so I make sure I have more red. What do you think? Okay. So let's use, or okay, let's kind of like put that there. And maybe I'll start glue.
Kid Cow said it's not a craft without teddy fur.
That's right.
It's so true. Now we have lint rollers all around the apartment here, because whether we're going out or whether we're working on a craft, we have to use a lint roller because we're
Always.
just covered. And we keep this apartment very clean. We vacuum, we do all the things all the time, but it definitely gets out of control.
Okay, cut a little bit of that, and then I'll just cut a little bit of red, and we're good to glue. Actually, Dennis, will you cut the red while I
Sure.
start gluing? So what I love about this part too is you're just going to keep everything in place, and then you can start adding your glue. Now, I think a less glue than more is better. Is that a sentence? Maybe. I'm actually even going to just use my Fiskars silicone mat in an unconventional way right now. I love this mat so much because it is washable. I actually just washed it right before here, and I'm actually going to use this to kind of get some of that stuck glue out. There we go. And then I can just wash it right out.
It's like the mustard.
It's like, yeah.
You know, when you want to get that part out of the mustard first.
Of course. And I'm just going to dab on the glue. Less glue, like I said, is more, because you really don't want to see it come through on your on the front side of the felt. Add a little bit down and then press it. Now, could you use hot glue for this? Sure. I would just really err on the side of caution and not using too much so it doesn't seep through. And a good tip too, if you want to, you can always take a paintbrush and smooth out some of those globs of paint. I like to start on one side and then go across, keeping the felt in line. Actually, with puffy paint, wouldn't that be so cute for Christmas?
Yes.
It's like a little snowy look.
And I mean, the glue is just kind of a little added something, because usually felt sticks to, felt.
Yeah, that's true.
So this is just to really secure.
And if you're going to put
keep
it in a frame,
place.
but yeah.
Yeah.
Really going for those tips, I think, is the best too, because you just want to make sure that those tips stay down. And I love felt too, because you really can manipulate it. Like if it's not sitting where you want to, just push it.
Teddy is judging every move we make here.
It's like, why are you doing it that way?
All right, we're wrapping up the class here. We're almost at a full hour. Again, just going over the giveaway today, we are giving away the Wanderlust pair of scissors. It's this green,
Sparkly,
beautiful, sparkly
yes.
scissors here. So cute.
We are also giving away this mat.
A cutting mat. And also an acrylic ruler. We use this acrylic ruler pretty much, yes, with all our crafting. And also the Lilac rotary cutter. And now what we do we ask you to send us your answers. We're actually doing something a little different. We're not going to do a trivia question today. We just want you to tell us your favorite
camp craft activity.
And you can either DM us on social media, Crafty Lumberjacks across the board, TikTok, Instagram, or you can email your answer to craftylumberjacks@gmail.com. Then once we get your answers, we kind of pull them all together and then pick a winner at random. And again, this giveaway is only open to the participants joining our class today. So cute.
How cute is that? And then you can just pop it right into your frame.
Yes.
And if, of course, if you have any edges that don't fit into your frame, what you can do is just use your rotary cutter and clean them up. But I mean, come on.
The question again, Letty, it's not really a question. We're just asking your favorite camp craft that you used to make when you were a kid, if you were in camp, whether it be friendship bracelets or
to think of like writing us like a description or anything.
We just want to hear
like
from you.
popsicle sticks or so, you know, you can keep it easy. It's really just about engagement, and we'll put all the names together and pick them, or like pick at random. We'll put them all into the
Should we come up to the top here?
Sure.
Felicia, one last time, just to say goodbye. And Felicia shared our next craft class on August 28th at 1 p.m. We hope you join us then.
Yes.
Thank you for a wonderful class. Have a great summer, and we'll see you soon.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.